Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. I have some fun projects for you today. But first, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, I would really appreciate it. And a thumbs up would be great as well. So today, I have some Dollar Tree ideas of projects that you can make to get ready for the 4th of July. So I am planning on making a little red wagon out of these supplies I got at the Dollar Tree. I just got a wood tray, these wood dowels. They're kind of the shorter ones. They come quite a few in a package. I'm going to need 3. And then just 2 popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree. And I have just a little, one of the wood cubes from the Dollar Tree. And I got this cute little bulldozer. Actually, it's a dump truck, isn't it? From the Dollar Tree from the toy department. So first, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a sanding. It was in pretty good condition, but I don't like the holes on the ends of the tray. I want my wagon to be like solid. So I thought I could use these little wood dominoes that I got at the toy department at Dollar Tree, of course. And I glued that one on upside down. I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm just using some hot glue and gluing that opening shut on the side. So those will be like the front and the back of my little red wagon. And I'm making this for 4th of July, but you could use this for any holiday really. And to fill up that hole now that I have the domino on the back, I'm just using some of the spackling from the Dollar Tree. And it was a pretty large opening there, so it did take some doing to get that spackling to stay in there and to try to get it smoothed out with my little putty knife from the Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. And you totally don't have to do this step, but I do like how it looks. It looks like it was just a solid tray. You can't really tell that I did any patching there. Now, I need to paint these guys black. I'm just using some black acrylic paint. And I'm painting 2 popsicle sticks and 3 of the dowels. I thought one of those dowels I could use for the handle. And I could use the other 2 for, I guess, the axles for the wheels. And then I thought the little cube for a handle, for the handle. And I thought the popsicle sticks you'll see. So I'm just painting all around, all the sides. And 1 coat is plenty because that's like an unfinished wood. So here is my little dump truck from the Dollar Tree. And all I need off this guy is his wheels. And the back ones popped off fairly easy. Now, the front ones were really on there, and I was struggling popping these off. They did not want to come off. And so I'm actually using some tools here to try to pry them off. And that worked. I didn't want to damage them at all. I wanted them to still be intact. And I think these will be the perfect size for my little red wagon. So I said it was going to be red, right? So I'm going to use this crimson chalk paint by Waverly that I picked up at Walmart. And I am going to give just a very healthy coat. The unfinished wood and the chalk paint is a great combination. You really only have to do 1 coat. With the red, though, it's a little hard to get good coverage, so I'm just going to kind of paint it until it is good and red. So I give a good coat to all the sides and even the bottom. And I'm just speeding that up a little bit there with my heat gun. And the chalk paint dries so quickly. I love it. And then I am just giving just a little bit more touch up on some of the places that looked a little streaky. Then I don't know what I was thinking, leaving all of those painted pieces on that paper because of course they stuck. I should have left them on my silicone mat. So I am pulling them off, but there's paper stuck to them. So I'm trying to use my little sanding block there to get off the extra paper, and I'm actually having to touch up some of the paint. And so there are my 3 black dowels and my popsicle sticks. Same thing. Lesson learned, don't leave them on paper. And I am just giving those a dry since I did have to touch up the paint a little bit. And look at this. The wheels fit perfectly on that dowel. And my idea is coming together here. So that will be one set of wheels and this will be the other set of wheels. So to attach them, I'm just going to use hot glue and do a strip of hot glue and glue down that wood dowel. Just kind of where I think the front and the back wheels of the wagon would be. Then I'm just cleaning up some of the extra hot glue. Now I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do with the sides because I don't have a pen or anything to keep the wheel on. So I was brainstorming. I thought these little tiny rubber bands that I got at the Dollar Tree, you get like 1 million in a package, and there are black ones in there. So I am just winding that rubber band around and around and around until it's tight to hold the wheel on to the side of the dowel. And it actually worked out really well. And the wheels are actually functionable. You can actually move the wagon forward and backwards. And I love that. I really didn't know if I was going to be able to pull that off or not. So I just put 1 rubber band on each wheel there. And look at that. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so I need something, I don't really know what this is called, but the structure on the front of a little red wagon that holds the handle. And so I'm just kind of taking my popsicle sticks and I trim them to size. I'm gluing them together into a point, so one on top of another. And then I'm just using hot glue to attach that to the bottom and the front of my wagon there. And I think that will work perfectly to hold my handle for the wagon. Then I had extra pieces of the popsicle stick, and I'm like, that would make a way better little handle than the cube that I was thinking about using, so I decided to save one of those. And then I'm just going to put a healthy drop of hot glue on there and sit my handle in place. I kind of want the handle to be pushed back like that. That reminds me of a wagon. And then I'm just going to use that tiny piece of the popsicle stick for the little handle there. And just going to hot glue that right on top. And look at that. We have a little red wagon. I love how this turned out. But I'm like, it's not complete. I want it to be a radio flyer wagon. So I went online and I found like the radio flyer logo. And I'm going to attempt here to cut it out on Cricut vinyl. And I had a little bit of trouble with one of the letters. I think it was the O. Was fighting me there. But I got it. So I cut out one for each side. That's me struggling with that letter. And then I'm just going to put my transfer paper on there. I like this papery kind. I get this on Amazon. I will post a link below. And I love it. It works so well to transfer Cricut vinyl. And one of them was a little crazy there, so I was just trying to fix it. And I'm just going to put that on the side. And look at that. Now it is a radio flyer wagon, which I love that. It is awesome. It reminds me of when I was a kid. It's a classic little red wagon. And I think it's going to be perfect for my 4th of July decorations. And there we go, little red wagon. Well, the little red wagon needs something to put in it. So I was thinking of firecrackers, right? Fireworks. Now, I had heard that you can make firecrackers out of the little coin wrappers from the Dollar Tree. So that is what I'm going to try to do. I have some of these paper star patriotic pennant, I guess they're pennant banners, that I thought would be perfect to cover the outside of the coin wrappers and to make them into like little firecrackers. And so I kind of cut that one to size, and I'm just using a glue stick, and I am just going to wrap that around my coin holder. I chose the ones that were red and blue so that if any of it showed, it would be okay. I think it was the penny and the nickel, maybe. I used 2 different sizes. And then I'm like, okay, so I need like a circle for the end. And so I am drawing a circle. And I just need to glue that on. And I was struggling with this. One end of the coin wrapper has like a folded down edge, and it's really easy to attach it to that. But the other side is wide open, and so there's not a lot to glue it to. So I tried hot glue, which was probably a little bit of an overkill, but it got on there. And then it's going to need like a wick, so I'm going to need another circle for the other side. And I'm just going to use twine. So I'm going to use a hole puncher to punch through my circle. And then I'm going to take some of this twine and tie a knot in it. And string that through, and then cut it to size. And that will be the end of my firework. And I'm using hot glue again here because I hadn't quite figured it out yet. I get better as I go with the fireworks. And the hot glue, I mean, it wasn't a very good solution. But there is my first one. And I thought I could fill the back of my radio flyer wagon with these little fireworks. And I thought that'd be a cute decoration. So not all of the paper and the banners are starred. So I'm only using the ones that have stars on them. And so here I am doing a second one. And the glue stick worked really well. The paper was fairly light, and it went on pretty well. And so I'm cutting another circle for the end. Actually, I doubled up. I was smart there and cut both at the same time. And I'm trying to use the glue stick again. And there's just nothing on one end like at all to like glue stuff to. And so that made it harder. And then I'm just doing another wick and gluing that on. And the bottom is falling off again, and so I was trying to use hot glue there. And so there we go. We have a second one. And I am continuing to learn how to do this right. Gluing the paper to the roll was fine. It was just the ends that I was having trouble with. And so I'm gluing that on with the glue stick. And it didn't work. So I tried again. Because I really don't want to use the hot glue for this. And then I come to the realization that, you know, you're probably not going to be able to see the bottom of them anyway, the way I'm going to sit them in there. And so, you know, they probably don't even need a bottom. The top is more important, and the top like actually has something to glue it to. So I was like, you know what? don't think they need to have bottoms. And so that solved a lot of my problems right there. So I am just getting smart and cutting out a lot of them at a time and using the same size coin wrapper. And I can even cut the circles and punch them all at once and kind of set it up as an assembly line here. So now I'm just putting the little circle with the wick on top of the firework, and I'm just leaving the bottom open, and that solved all my problems that I was having. And then they started going pretty fast. So one package of those paper star banners only had 6 of the starred ones. So that made 6 fireworks, but that was not enough. So I opened another package of the banners, and I'm like, heck, I'm going to do all the same size here, and then this will be all easy. I'll cut them all out at once, and that is what I did. And cut out circles for the tops of all of them as well. And you can see now I am like whipping them out. Glue, roll it up, stick it to it. Then I can go through and I can put the wicks on the ends of all of my firecrackers. So this is so easy. You just tie a knot and cut it to size, and then just string them on after you punch holes in them with your hole puncher. And so I'm thinking about a dozen of the firecrackers will fill up the back of my little radio flyer wagon just fine. And that's going to make a really fun 4th of July decoration for my house. And we did it. Isn't that adorable? I really love this project. Okay, so next up, I want to make like one of those really cool stacked books, but not one of the little mini ones, like a big version of it. So I got these trays at the Dollar Tree, and they actually have stars cut out the end. So I thought that was perfect for 4th of July. So I'm going to do one red, one white, and one blue, but I have a coastal house, and so I've been doing a lot of my 4th of July decorations with this beautiful agave color blue instead of like a royal or a navy blue. And I love how it looks with the red and white. And so I kind of want this one to be a coastal feel. And so I am going with this color instead of a different color of blue. But you do whatever kind of blue you want. But these turned out so great. So I just do all 4 sides of my book. And then I only have to do kind of just the rim there in case the books are not stacked directly on top of each other. I don't want the bare wood to be seen. And so I'm just making sure I got a good coat all over of my agave chalk paint from Waverly. And that looks good. And I can move on to my next book. And I am going to do white chalk paint by Waverly. Now, this chalk paint, I guess the lid's been left off of it too much because it was thick. It was so thick. I really had trouble working with it. So when I was done with this project, it went straight in the trash. I'm just going to have to replace it. Thinking I must have not had the lid on good or not put the lid on in enough time because it was not the right consistency for chalk paint. I kind of wish I hadn't done this color, but it already started, so I kind of went with it. And same thing, I painted all 4 sides and just around the rims. And for the 3rd book, I am going to do it in this crimson chalk paint by Waverly. It's a beautiful color of red. And then first I'm like, I want to do something special with the top because this is going to be the top book. So then I was like, it needs a flag. So flags are so easy to paint. So I'm just taking some of this painter's tape from the Dollar Tree, and I am just doing a little square rectangle up in the corner that won't get any of this beautiful red paint. And the rest can, because then I'll just use it for the red stripes in the flag. So I got that good and taped off, and I'm going to go in with one of my little foam brushes. And same thing, I'm going to paint all 4 sides. I love the little star cutout. It really gave an extra touch of patriotism to these little stacked books. And I'm doing all 4 sides. Now what's different on this one is it's going to be exposed. So I am painting the whole top, and I'm painting it all red. And I'm going to go back and put stripes on that so it'll look like a flag. So just making sure that is good and dry with my heat gun. And the red, it's hard to get good coverage, so I'm just touching up the front of the book to make sure that's a solid color of red. And it's time to take off my painter's tape. Oh, maybe not yet. I'm going to go ahead and do the stripes. So I'm going to use the skinnier painter's tape that I picked up at Walmart and do the stripes with that. Then I'm like, oh yeah, I want the red to kind of be carried over like the binding of a book from the side. And so I didn't want my stripes where I had them, so I am fixing that. And I am just eyeballing these stripes. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just where I think that they would be. And then I am going to use that white chalk paint again to try to paint on my stripes. This paint was terrible. I'm so glad to be done with it. It was so thick. And so I am just painting on my white stripes. And trying to get good coverage. And trying to speed up my first coat. I mean, it's a little harder to paint white over red than it would be to paint red over white. But since I was painting the book red, I just kind of went for it. So I'm giving a second coat of white on our little flag on the top book. And again, speeding up that drying. And I was having a little trouble getting good coverage. It was probably because my paint was like really, really crazy consistency. And the fact that I was going over the red. So I did have to put like another coat on there. You can see I'm struggling with that paint for sure. So I think it's good now, and I can go ahead and try to pull off my tape. This is really good painter's tape, and so it's giving me really crisp lines there. You can see when I peel it off. And now I can take off all of the painter's tape, including the little rectangle that I want to paint blue. So I'm making sure that's really good and dry so that I can start taping off to do the corner. And I'm just going to use some of this Dollar Tree painter's tape and just going to go around all 4 sides so that, my paint doesn't bleed out of my design. And I'm going to go in with that agave blue that I used for one of my books and do that for the part of the flag. Now, I thought about doing stencils with my Cricut and to paint stars on there, but I decided to do something a little bit different to kind of go with the nautical feel of this project. You know me, I like to do beach stuff. So that looks pretty good. And so this is my idea. I have these sea creature stencils that I got at the Dollar Tree, and there is starfish on there. So I thought I could use some of these little daubers from the Dollar Tree and some of that white chalk paint and try to stencil the starfish on in place of the stars. Now, I don't know if it's because my stencil was so small or generic looking, but I don't know if you can really tell that they're starfish. They kind of just look like stars. But Whatever. I thought about gluing a starfish on there, but I kind of wanted it to be flat like it was the cover of a book. So I can fit about 4 of these little starfish stencils. And it's not going to be perfect. I'm just kind of daubing that on there. And you know me, you know I'm going to distress this, so it doesn't matter. But I'm trying my best. And these stencils are a little hard to use because the next image is like really right next to it. And there we go, 4 starfish. So my plan is to stack them like that, red, white, and blue, but you know I have to distress it because I have to make it look coastal, like it belongs in my house. So I'm using one of these chunky brushes from the Dollar Tree, dry, and just going over. This time with the ivory chalk paint, I am just done with that white chalk paint. And I like distressing with ivory. I think it looks good. And I just did like a thin coat all over, and then I grabbed a baby wipe and kind of spreading that out and taking off any of the excess and giving it that nice weathered look. And I'm going to use the ivory to distress both the red book and the blue book. Actually, the white book too. So I decided to go really heavy on the sides where there would be pages to try to give it the appearance of pages. Like, I think the little streaky brush strokes look like they could be pages. And then on the cover, I'm going more lightly and making that more of a bold red on the binding there. And then I am going to give this a distressing too on my flag. And then I'm going to also use this Antique Wax by Waverly. It's the brown. I also get that at Walmart, and to distress and kind of all over, and then especially the edges, gives it a nice weathered look. And I'm going to give that on the binding there too. And then I'm also going to give that on the pages. It kind of helps with the other distressing that I did to kind of make the pages look like they would be like actual pages and not just a square box. And then I'm going to use the red paint to try to paint where the book cover would be. Just kind of a little extra step there to try to make it look more like a book. But super easy little touch to add. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And I did a little bit too much there on the top, so I'm just fixing that. And see how that kind of looks like pages besides the cutout. But I really love how that turned out. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the blue one. I'm going to go in and distress with the ivory, harder on the sides and the back to make them look like pages. And go in with a baby wipe and spread that out, make that look good. And then light distressing on the front there. Then I'm going to go in with that Antique Wax again and do the same thing as I did before. Light on the front, heavy on the sides, and the back for the pages. And then kind of make it look like a book like I did before. So I'm going in with the blue paint along the top and inside and bottom of the sides. And then I'm going to go in, and you wouldn't think you could distress the white with ivory, but it actually gave it kind of a cool look. So that is what I did. And then I'm going to go in with the Antique Wax and same thing that I did on the others. Whenever you weather things with this Antique Wax, it comes out so cool. It's such a cool effect and so easy to do. I absolutely love it. I have a lot of coastal beach decor in my house, and this is going to look really nice. And again, I am just trying to go in and paint the cover on. To make it look like the other ones, like a book. Okay, I think that's enough distressing. And I want to print some Cricut vinyl to label my books, but Cricut was down for hours design space. So I decided to go ahead and work on something else. So I got this cute burlap with the little chevron red print at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use that to wrap around my books. And I kind of want it to be functional to hold all of these books together. And so I am going to bring it around and glue it to itself on the bottom with just hot glue. And I'm using some protection there because I do not want to burn myself on this part. And I'm just gluing that to itself to try to give the structure a little bit more stability. Like it was really wrapped around there good. And this is the first time I've done the stacked books with these big trays like this, and I love how it turned out. They are just beautiful. Then I'm going to take some of this twine from the Dollar Tree and wrap that around the burlap ribbon that I already put on there. And I'm just going to kind of wind that around. It's going to help keep the books together as well and give it a nice little rustic touch. So I'm just kind of going around until I'm happy with it. And I think it needs just a little bit more. So I'm going to go around a few more times. And then I'm going to tie that into a knot. I'm kind of just slowly moving that to the front where I want it to be, tying that off into a knot. And then I thought, what else does it need? So I decided actually just to use that twine to make just a simple little easy bow. So I just tie that into a bow. Then I'm thinking about, how else do I want to decorate that? And then I decided to go back in and clip those off. And I got one of these cute little seahorse clothespins at my Dollar Tree, and their beach stuff that they had last month. And I'm just going to clip that onto my bow, and that will go with my little nautical feel for my books. Normally I would have went ahead and put my Cricut vinyl on before I did all that, but again, Cricut was down for hours. Design space, it was terrible. Okay, so I am ready to cut some vinyl to label my books. And I'm going to do white vinyl on the red book and the blue book. And then I'm going to do red vinyl on the white book. So I am just weeding this. And I get to an O that just would not weed. And then I realized it was the center of the O. The outside of the O must have came off when I weeded it. So this is me digging in my trash, trying to find it. And surprise, I was able to find it, and I was able to save it. After all the waiting I did on Cricut Design Space, I did not want to have to mess with it any more than I had to. So now I'm going to go in and cut my red vinyl. And these are the sayings for the red book and the blue book. So I'm cutting those apart into two. And just scraping those onto my transfer paper. But I don't want to put them on yet because I think that the white book is going to have the longest saying, and that will help me align it on the left side. So I am just going in and weeding the design for the white book, which I did with red vinyl, and trying to make sure all the letters stay down this time. And we have success. I'm telling you, I love the skinny, which is the Ray Dunn font, but man, it can be really hard to work with sometime with vinyl. So I'm adding my transfer tape and scraping that on, and I'm going to do this one first because this was the longest saying for the side of the book to make sure that it fits. And it does. So if you haven't guessed, what it's going to say is from sea to shining sea. I thought that was really great because not only is it patriotic, it's also, you know, with my coastal nautical theme of the books. I had one letter jump ship there, but I was able to save it again. And, oh, I just love how these books turned out. They're so cute. And if you were to buy this, it would be really expensive. So from sea to shiny sea. Okay, here's our final products. My little radio flyer red wagon that actually works. And inside are all of our coin wrapper firecrackers that we made for the 4th of July. Now, I'll be able to use this wagon for other holidays too. I can just change what's in the wagon, which is so versatile. And here is our stacked books, From Sea to Shining Sea, with the little nautical coastal touches. I love the books. They're so cute. So what do you guys think? If you haven't, if you could hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, guys, until next time, bye.